We love doing these in-person events. We do them once a quarter, and it's my favorite thing to do because I get to meet up with all you guys, especially some of you guys that join us monthly on a us. This is a great venue. So for those of y'all that haven't been here, it's a great space. But yeah, we got a great event planned for you today. The theme for today's tug event is Iron Viz. We are very fortunate to have in person 2 Iron Viz winners. We have Bo McCready, who is our 2025 Iron Viz champion, and Jane Kamata, who is our 2024 Iron Viz student champion. So very fortunate to have both of them here today, and we're going to hear a lot from them. So before we get started, I always like to thank those of us, the folks that help put on this event every single month. These are the members of our Tableau User Group Advisory Council. We have a few of them here. If you are on the council, raise your hand. So, all right, we got James, Nicole, John, Celia, Homer. All right, yes. So these are all the folks that help do all the planning, plan the events, market the events, contact the venues, and of course, line up our fabulous speakers. So if you would like to join our advisory board, please reach out to one of us, talk to one of the council members. We'd love to have you join. We meet every other week via Zoom, and once a quarter we do a dinner, which is a lot of fun as well. So please reach out to us. So here's our agenda. We're going to go over a couple of housekeeping announcements, talk about some events, and then, of course, we're going to have Jane. We'll do a community spotlight on her. Jane is currently a student at Northeastern University. She's majoring in computer science and business analytics. Of course, I've known for a long time, and he's going to tell us all about what it's like to be behind the scenes at Iron Viz. So that's very, very cool presentation. So of course, this is a hybrid event. So those of you here, love to hear, raise your hands if you've got any questions. We're going to save them to the end for all the speakers, but please raise your hand when the time comes. For those online, please direct message Homer. He'll be collecting all the questions in the back. We have a lot of events planned coming up. We took a little break during the summer, but the fall is jam-packed. So in September, we have Lisa Trescott, who's a Tableau visionary, and also an Iron Viz champion, who's going to be our speaker. And then Amy Wu, who's one of our council members. We're going to go community spotlight on her. And then in the fall, in October, we have Ojo, he's a Tableau ambassador, and he's going to be speaking. And then Will Sutton, who, of course, won in 2022, another in Iron Viz as well. So you're going to get a lot of Iron Viz over the next couple months. So, all right. And before we get too far and jump into it, I do want to mention that Dreamforce is right around the corner. For those that you guys have not attended, it is a fantastic event. It's rather large. If you've been to Tableau conference, this is about 10 times as large, but it is a lot of fun. It's going to be in San Francisco, as always. It's October 14th through the 16th. So I think there's still an early bird special until, I think, the 21st. So if you haven't registered, please talk to your boss or someone. And then lastly, we have a Slack channel. And so we'll send that out to those people that want to join. We post a lot of community information and just a lot about our upcoming events. So with that, I will turn it over to Celia, who's one of our advisory council members, and she will introduce our speakers. Celia?
Thank you very much. Just out of curiosity, if this is your first time into one of our meetings, awesome. Well, welcome everyone. It's so exciting. And then online, I don't know if Homer, are you also watching the online group? If you want to, in your Zoom, bottom frame of your Zoom window, you can add a reaction. If you're new to attending our tug, if you would give us a reaction, that'd be great. Like to see that. Welcome everyone. I'm very pleased that you're here. We have very much an Iron Viz kind of theme going on here, and I thought that it would be a little bit fun to start with a little bit of context about that. As I got a little bit of a bird's eye view last year with it, I was a Tableau ambassador and got recruited to be a part of the judging part of that. So I had no idea how deep and wide that deal was. So just to give you a little bit of context, there is a submission process where they have a theme and data sets are recommended, or you have to convince them about why yours fits the profile. And so we had 253 people, adults, who had made a submission, and 191 were eligible. You can see along the path, there's an internal team that does that pre-judging. So before they ever put it in the hands of people who have signed up and been trained to judge, it goes through this process of internal, the Iron Viz internal team that's part of Tableau Salesforce employees. And then it comes into the hands of folks who have asked to or volunteered to be a part of it. Lots of those folks have already been doing it year before, or many years before, as I found out. And each viz is anonymized in a way so that we can't see who it is that it submitted it, right? And then we each do 15. Okay. And not just like what we think of it, but against a rubric and very specific and detailed and scaled against. And I have one screen to show you that'll show you the array of things we evaluated on the basis of. But so each viz gets judged by at least 3 people. And if there's any kind of like ties, then it gets continued to do more. And then out of that comes the top 10 that you may have seen the webinar that Andy Cogreeve hosted back in January, I think it was, where he announced the top 10. And then out of that promoted the top 3 that, Bo was part of that went on to the competition in April. So it is quite the experience. And so just to give you that was the time frame. So they had to submit by the end of October. So any of you that are in, it'll be fall before we know it. And then we'll be doing the reviews and judging and such for November and December. And then in January, they did the announcements. And then we're aiming at the next Tableau conference for the finishing touches, right? So just a little page of, these are just a few of the characteristics that were being evaluated. I mean, it is thorough, right? So it is very detail oriented. For these guys to be promoted to the top 10 is massive because it's a global community of competitors, right? So just thought you guys might have a little fun. So these were our 3 that went to conference and competed there. I'm gonna let Bo give you a lot more detail about that because even there, they go early, they do certain types of preparation. They have to perform it. I was in the audience. Me and 8,000 of my best friends, we were there in the audience making lots of noise while these guys were under pressure to perform the construction of their vizzes in 20 minutes with the clock ticking down and then being required to step away from it after it was finished. So it is quite the, it exercises lots of parts of not just are you creative and doing a viz, but can you also then perform it in front of a live audience, making lots of racket. So, I mean, cheering you on. So anyway, so let's talk about our community member. So Jane is from San Antonio. She has been attending our viz, our Tableau user group, which has been awesome. Even though she's been in attending college in Boston area. And you have just 1 year, okay, but also one the Iron Viz. And I asked her to be a part of our meeting today so that you can get to know her. She has an eye for it and it has this incredible background. So let's give you the mic and invite you to come up here and have a little chat. If you want to, I would like for you maybe to start with this slide. She shared with me several things from her recent summer travels, and then we'll talk about how she got into data and what drew her attention to it in the first place. So welcome, Jane.
Yes, thank you for having me. I got back from Japan about 1 week ago, so I just sent some pictures in of my travels in Japan. I went a little bit all over central Japan, kind of by Tokyo. This is Yokohama Bay. This is Matsumoto Castle, which is a like historical heritage site. And then this is in, I think, Gunma Prefecture. It's an onsen, so like hot spring town. So this is all hot sulfuric water in the background.
Wow.
So yeah, I was just there a week ago. Great place to visit. You can always ask me questions if you're interested in going to Japan.
Wow. And is the jet lag real? Are you feeling better?
I think I almost got over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I've been going a couple of days without a nap, so
that's yeah, that's good. Okay. Well, when we first got your attention, or what laid the groundwork in your education to even draw you into this kind of path, and it even started in high school, right?
Yeah, so I first opened Tableau in high school. I was part of my school's robotics team for 4 years, and the robotics team competition actually partnered with Tableau and gave every team a Tableau license to use. And so my job on my team was to collect data about our competitors' robots, and then we analyzed it at our competitions. And so my first experience in Tableau was making dashboards about robots.
Good, very good. And so then how did that continue into college?
Yeah, so my second semester in college, I took a information visualization class and I really liked it. It'd been about a year since I did anything in Tableau. And I took this class and I realized how much I enjoyed it and I missed it. And then after that, I became a teaching assistant for the same class. And the professor was doing an assignment to enter into Iron Viz Student Edition. And so I decided I would actually enter as well as the teaching assistant. And then I ended up winning that year. And I just kept going from there.
That's really great. That's so good. And if I remember correctly, you also had a little bit of interest in art, because as I look at your visualizations, there is such art reflected.
Competitions. And so I guess I just had more of an artistic eye whenever I make my visualizations. And I think I just carry that through. And that really informs a lot of decisions I make when I'm designing my vizzes.
Awesome. And if you guys look at her Tableau public, you can see the one that won her the competition, and then also ones that she's done since then, as well as one that you did for submission into 2025. Didn't you apply, but you were not, we're supposed to do something about that?
Yeah, it is. But yeah, you
Yeah,
can
I
see
think-
my vizzes on my Tableau public. They're all there.
So, couple of the things you mentioned, that you had an internship where you've been able to dig deeper into analytics, and that's kind of confirmed some of your thinking on what you want to do longer term, right?
Yeah, so I worked about 14 months as a co-op in private equity, where I was working. I did it 2 different years. So the first time I did a lot of Power BI, and then I realized when I was doing that I really liked making visualizations, even if it wasn't in Tableau. But of course, using Tableau is better.
Yeah.
And so then I went back another year, and before I was working mostly on real estate, and then I moved and came back and I moved to more of just an analytics team, and I got to work on different projects and use more Tableau. And that was really interesting. And I was doing, yeah, you put up here, it's actually reporting. And I was also doing some geospatial stuff. So that was really cool. And it just really ignited my flame again. Like Tableau, there's so much you can do, and it just keeps going about. Like every time I would get a new project at work, it just felt like a whole new challenge I'd never encountered, even though I feel like I've already done so much in Tableau. So I think
great.
that really kept me going.
And I noticed earlier today that you have an Alteryx certification as well. So
Yeah, I do.
that's awesome. So where did that fit into your experience? Did you have to clean up some messes or aggregate some disparate sources?
That was just on my own actually. I started doing Alteryx first because I was taking a class and we used it, and then I decided to get certified because it was free.
Good.
And
Smart.
then yeah, it's free if anyone's interested to get certified in Alteryx. And then I just kept using it after because I realized how powerful it is to be able to more easily prep your data. Then I started using Tableau prep after that. And I realized each has like their own special abilities. So like I'm glad I started with Alteryx, but I also use Tableau prep now as well.
Really good. Great. So if you were trying to encourage folks, good ways to get involved in the Tableau community and to build their chops as Tableau visualization builders, what would you recommend?
Yeah, I think what's really helped me is I tend and then I'm always looking at Tableau Public. I enter a lot of competitions like Iron Viz or Iron Viz Student Edition if you're a student, or like some tugs will have competitions like in a retail tug, and I entered one for like Data Plus Women New England. So, or there's also some local ones like in Boston where I go to school. So that's really been helpful to see other people's submissions, and then also if you end up winning, you get your word out about your name. So that's really cool as well. And then I also like looking at blogs. I know a lot of people like watching videos and tutorials about how to do things, but I prefer making the visualizations and like reading along with the blog because I just find it more helpful to learn as I'm doing. So I think that's been really helpful to me as well.
Do you have any favorite visualization authors that you follow or try to recreate their work?
No, not really. I just usually scroll on Viz of the Day.
Okay.
And then if I see something cool, next time I make a Viz, I always try to incorporate something new that I haven't done before. So I think maybe the last Viz I made, I was looking at, I can't remember the full name of the blog. It might be like Her Data. They have some kind of art Viz art gallery. So I was looking at that. I can't remember who runs that.
Think it got your attention. Yes.
The collection in their Viz art gallery just has more art, like modern art, repetitive design type Vizes. So the data is more abstract, and I was looking to incorporate that into the Viz I was working on because it was for a competition I was entering for like a display poster. So I wanted it to look more artistic. So and I'd seen her on like LinkedIn, and she has this art gallery of Vizes. So
Cool.
that's where I looked.
So do you ever try Makeover Monday or Workout Wednesday challenges?
I used to, I've done like one of each and then I stopped, but I just got kind of busy.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you have
And
time.
yeah, I just got busy, and I guess I prefer entering the competitions because you have longer time period to work on. And
Okay.
then I feel like not as many people enter them, so you might get recognized and
Right,
you might win
right.
something.
That's
So
great.
I guess I just put my effort into making, I put more time into making my Vizes. So the shorter time periods on like Makeover Monday or Workout Wednesday are a little too tight for me.
They're very fast, right?
Yeah, but that's the challenge.
That is correct. Yes. And when is graduation coming up?
Oh yeah, I'm graduating in the spring of 2026. So I have 2 semesters left and then
Awesome.
done.
Great.
But I don't know, I can still enter. If you win it, if anyone's a student, if you win it, they pay for you to go to Tableau conference and you get to speak on Iron Viz stage for like 1 minute. But I got to see all the behind the scenes of when Chris won in 2024. So I got to go to their practices. I got to go on the stage and in the dressing room. It was a really cool experience.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Right on. Do we have any questions for our guests, for Jane? Yes.
I met her at the Boston Tug in, I think, June.
Right.
Yeah, it was in June. So I have met Amy.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. She's our advisory board member who's a transplant. Right. She's, yeah, in both. Very good. Anything else? Marla? That you just don't have the what?
The opportunity at this time, right?
Okay, so for the sake of online, let me just say that she's asking if Jane knows of a type of data that you would very much like to do a visualization on that you don't have the opportunity to. Is that correct?
I guess data-wise, there's a very specific example I can think of.
Okay.
I was entering a competition in Boston, and the theme was sports. So I don't really follow sports, so I was really racking my brain about what I could do. And I found the idea of doing NLI, name, image, likeness. So because there was that change in law that happened where it's legal now for athletes to accept money. So I wanted to make a visualization about how much money they receive. But I found when I was trying to look for data, which took me like I was researching where to find data for this forever. There's like no free data, and it's all on different websites and it's not accurately tracked. So I think it'd be cool if there was a database for NLI offers, but I don't think it's possible just because of how it works. So I ended up doing on the MBA and I won something for it, but
Okay. Right on.
yeah, I really wanted to do NIL, but I couldn't. And then if there's a type of visualization you want to make, I'm not really familiar with map layers for not doing maps, so I've always been interested in doing that, and I just haven't had the time to look into it a lot.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that, so that'd be the next thing for me probably.
That's a good one. It's very nice. We did that at work. What else? So Shania is asking if you have, and I'm going to just repeat it for the Zoom room, if she has any ideas of where this will go in her career and progress afterwards, past graduation. Have you already got it nailed, but signed?
Yeah,
Just
I
kidding.
think I want to do a BI after I graduate. I definitely enjoy it, and making visits is super fun, and I always feel like there's more to learn. So yeah, I think that's where I'm at.
More questions? Anybody? And Homer, on our chat online, do we have anybody that's asking a question there? Okay, good. All right. Well, thank you for coming. Any last words you want to offer the folks? Charges, encouragements, challenges?
I don't know. Just look at Tableau Public a lot. That's what I do.
All right. Thank you so much, Jane.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jane. Thank you for sharing your story. It's amazing how much you have accomplished and balanced while still going to college. That's just amazing work. So the next speaker that I'd like to introduce is Bo McCready. I've known Bo for a long time. Bo's, if you're in Tableau Public a lot, you've probably seen Public ambassador, and of course won the 2025 Iron Viz Championship. If you were at Tableau Conference, it was amazing, amazing moment, and truly, I know he's worked really hard for that as well. So, I'm just happy to introduce Bo. He's one of the most talented people I know in the Tableau community, and just an all around just great guy. So, Bo, come on up.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Chris. What Chris didn't mention in his presentation too is that Chris actually gave me my first job opportunity outside of education when I decided I wanted to transition industries. So Chris, also a great guy, and super appreciate that. Yeah, so my name is Bo. I'm here to chat a little bit about the experience of participating in Iron Viz this year. I'm going to kick off by saying I like to be kind of an improvisational presenter. So that also means that if you raise your hand, interrupt me, shout something, want me to talk about something else, you're not going to be disrupting any flow. I would love to chat about whatever y'all want to chat about today. Unlike Iron Viz, which, sorry, am I still on? Okay, great. Yeah, unlike Iron Viz, which is probably the most rehearsed thing I have ever done in my life and ever will, yeah, today's informal. So if you want to know about anything, just raise your hand and we'll chat about it. So, quick intro about me. I did my PhD at the University of Wisconsin in a department called Educational Leadership and Policy Analysis. I went right into grad school out of undergrad, and then partway through my grad program, I realized that I don't want to be an academic who's trying to teach people about something that I've never done in the real world. So I better go get a job and like do that for a little bit, and then I can come back and teach. And yeah, so partway through my PhD program, I got a job as an analyst at the local school district up in Madison, Wisconsin. At the time, I was a department of one. And after I started trying that out for a little bit, I thought, hey, I kind of like this, and I'm not sure I want to go back to the university. So I spent yeah, I spent almost 8 years there. Again, started as an office of one, and then by the time I left, the analytics thing had really taken off for us. And so at that point, I was director of the newly created research and program evaluation office, where we were doing analytics and survey development and administration, data warehousing, kind of And then, yeah, right around 2019, 2020, decided that I'd kind of done my time in education, wanted to try something different, pivoted over to the tech world, and currently I'm a data science manager here in Austin. As far as Tableau goes, I've been using Tableau since 2012. So really since kind of that first month where I decided, yeah, I'm going to get a job and try this out, Tableau's been part of my career the whole time. I built my career sharing data viz work online. So when I first decided that I wanted to try something outside of education, I did a national job search where I applied to hundreds of jobs and really everything that looked viable in the field. And I got a grand total of one interview that was not an education job. So that for me was a really interesting moment to realize that, yeah, I don't have the right degree for this field. And if I want to have opportunities outside of what I'm currently doing, I'm going to have to try something a little bit different. So started building a Tableau public portfolio, started putting my work out there on Twitter, LinkedIn, on Reddit. And thankfully that kind of took off a little bit, got the attention of the right people, and opened up job opportunities for me to try something different. And yeah, I've been a Tableau public ambassador for a few years now, and just kind of really loved being part of this community. So these are a few of my projects that I built in Tableau. Just wanted to share some examples here. When I'm doing data viz work in my free time, I like to do things. A few of these Tableau as Viz of the day. This one in the top left here, this is like the project that I'll never be able to escape from. It was one of the first things I posted on Tableau Public, and like every once in a while still I'll get tagged, like someone will repost it in Italy or Greece or whatever. It's printed in a few textbooks in Ireland right now, so it's anyway, very weird project. Didn't think it would have the life it did, but here we are. And yeah, actually this Viz here, I'll be speaking virtually next week at the Tableau Public Tug about how I built that one. Some radial charts about attendance in Major League Baseball, and this one is all map layers. So if you're into map layers and haven't had a chance to experiment with that, come check out the talk. So in addition to the data viz work, my wife and I operate a little screen print shop out of our backyard here in Austin as well. We branded it as Pie Chart Press after what is objectively the best way to communicate information visually. So yeah, my wife has a lot of lovely floral designs that sell very well. I have a few data-driven designs that don't sell nearly as well, but when they fit the right audience, it's fun. So yeah, we're in a bunch of shops around Austin too. We're always at Blue Genie, so yeah, check it out. That's also us. We got into screen up in the punk scene a little bit and was really into all the DIY shirt making and whatever, and I was like, oh, I can do this myself. And then when COVID hit and we needed a hobby to avoid going insane, this was kind of the one we did. So yeah, super nice to get your hands dirty with ink and make stuff after being on a computer all day. But ultimately why I'm here today is to talk about Iron Viz and winning the Iron Viz competition this year. Who was anyone there in person this time around? Yeah, a few folks. Cool. So you may, I'm gonna play the video one more time. You may recognize, it's fun, right? If you were there, you may realize that there's no confetti in person. We actually asked about this, and apparently the cleanup fee for confetti in this venue is like astronomical. I wanted to, as part of my walkout, like shoot off a popper and have confetti, and they were like, absolutely not. This is not on the table. But they added the confetti virtually for everyone who's streaming online, so I get to have at least a fake confetti drop moment. But yeah, so this year managed to somehow win the Iron Viz competition. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of qualifying, building the project, and then a little bit more about what it's like to perform on stage. Cool. So Celia did a great intro about what Iron Viz is. I'll just do a short version. Yeah, it's billed as the world's largest data visualization competition. You always have hundreds of where the Tableau will choose a theme. You have about a month to build a project that fits the theme. If you haven't looked at this before, the themes are very, very big. So if you have something you're passionate about, you can probably find a way to fit it within that umbrella. And then it leads into the spring finals. So after those entries, after a judging process, you have 3 folks that compete live on stage to build their best project in 20 minutes. And these projects are scored on design, analysis, and storytelling. So I always like to mention this when I'm talking about Iron Viz, because it's not just a make the coolest graph or the most technically sophisticated project competition. Like, all of these are weighted equally in the judging, and we definitely have like criteria and, you know, things that we know we're building for. So, you know, I know as an audience member at past Iron Vizes, sometimes you watch and you're kind of like, I don't really understand why this one didn't win. But now, understanding a little bit more about the judging criteria, it tracks a little bit. So if you haven't seen the event, just a couple of photos from this year. Again, I think they told us there were about 7,000 people in the room, so you get a little bit of sense of the scale here. Yeah, everything you're doing, your screen and you are being streamed live on these big screens for everybody. There's you know, commentary from Andy and Archana and the judges. So it's a whole production. Also with these like noise making sticks that they give out to everybody. It's a whole thing. It's even that different being on being up on the stage. I'd been there in person a bunch of times before, but being on stage is a whole different thing even beyond that. So how do we end up there? As I said, there's a qualifying round in the fall. I ended up in the top 3 in the world after this one. I did a project about one-hit wonders on the Billboard Hot 100. So I used a data set that had been curated by Sean Miller, who's one of the Tableau visionaries, for the Billboard Hot 100 data, and then I ended up using the Spotify API as well to kind of pull down audio characteristics of those songs. And so do some visualizations around like, what are the biggest one-hit wonders of all time? What do they sound like? How do they tie into, you know, historical trends about the ways that we consume media? Definitely one of my favorite projects I've ever built, and the one that kind of finally put me over the edge. Because this was my 8th time entering Iron Viz. There used to be 3 qualifying competitions every year, so it wasn't quite 8 years, but it was 8 total entries. And I'd finished in the top 10 before 3 prior times, which is kind of why I kept going, because I knew I was almost there. I had a shot, and if I just kind of had the right project in the right year and the right luck, it would work out. And so this was the year. Letting me know that I was one of the 3 finalists. So they do the big public announcement. The 3 finalists do know beforehand. I know that takes a little bit of the magic away, but they let you know to be ready, because it gets pretty crazy pretty quickly after that gets officially announced. So just a little screenshot here from their announcement post on Instagram. And then from there, you kind of have a little time to chill is the wrong word, because you're thinking a lot and practicing a lot, but it was about another month before they actually gave us the data set that we were going to be working with. So got this email in the middle of February, and saw that the theme was wildlife strikes, and the data set was from the FAA. And honestly, when I opened this email, I thought, oh no, I know this data set. I've played with this data set before. I didn't find anything in it. I like closed it very quickly and just moved on to the next project. So I'd be lying if I said I was really excited about this data set. But after talking to the other contestants, we were all a little bit nervous. If you remember earlier this year, there were kind of some high profile aviation safety incidents in the news kind of right before we got this data set. So we knew we were in for a little bit of a challenge. Some of the Iron Viz finals have been like streaming music data and all kinds of really fun stuff. But every once in a while, they throw you something that's a little less lighthearted. And I guess this was one from adding event. And if you've seen Iron Viz, if you were there, you know there's like this nice little 30-second intro video where they show a little bit about your personality and your hometown and whatever. I really enjoyed this part of the process, and I filmed a lot more footage than those 30 seconds. And I'm kind of disappointed that some of it didn't end up getting used. So this is just over 2 minutes. Thank you for your patience, but this is the premiere, the world premiere of the director's cut of my Iron Viz intro video. So I'm only playing this in Austin because it's all filmed around the city, and y'all are the only ones that will appreciate anything about it. But
Grady, and I'm joining you from Austin, Texas. Austin is full of beautiful places, great food, and awesome concerts. I've lived here for 6 years, which is long enough for me to be nostalgic about how it used to be, but short enough that people get mad when I call myself a local. After growing up in a small town in rural Wisconsin, I love big city life. Being in Iron Viz is a dream come true, and after taking some time to celebrate, it was time to get to work here in my office. Here's my wall of silkscreen prints with more than a little of the design work done in Tableau. Some people wonder if prepping for Iron Viz takes all your time, but no, I took breaks to do lots of my favorite things. Exploring the city, riding my longboard, eating lunch tacos,
they kept the taco part. There was way more.
trying to stay cool, getting new tattoos,
Yes, I'm really being tattooed in that video.
eating dinner tacos, and screen printing shirts. What's at stake? If I win, I'll shave my mustache. It'll grow back in like a week with the support of my loving family. What does Daddy do for work?
I don't know.
I'm ready to show the data world what I can do.
Anyway, I'll cut it off there, but I had fun making it. They give us they give us some broad brushes that we can paint with, and anyway, it was a good time. Yeah, thanks. So another thing I always want to mention in these presentations, Iron Viz is a team effort. Clara Wu is a solution engineer with Salesforce Tableau. She was my supervisor for the competition. This work. Clara is fantastic. We got the opportunity to present together up in Wisconsin this summer about the Iron Viz experience, and I think anyone who's done the Iron Viz competition will tell you that nothing happens without the supervisors. During your preparation process, you're not really supposed to talk a ton to people about what you're doing or go get advice or anything like that. You have really a limited pool of folks that you can draw on. So having a partner like her was fantastic, and she encouraged me to make so many changes to the product that made it so much better. So shout out to Clara. Thank you for making it work. So thinking a little bit more about the Iron Viz process, most people in this room, I'm guessing, will probably never compete in Iron Viz. Maybe we're going to have 3 Austin finalists every year from here for the next 10 years. But I do always try to draw some lessons out of Iron Viz that are applicable to what we do every day as part of our jobs. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about discovery, design, and performance, and how those played out during the Iron Viz process, and hopefully some lessons that you can bring into your work as well. I've been talking for a long time really quickly, so I'll pause for a second and see any questions so far? Anything? Yeah, what's up? What's the name of the dog? Oh yeah, her name's Olive. Yeah. We're doing hard-hitting questions at the Austin Tug today. I love it.
Oh, okay. I saw that you had a viz that you did about West Ham's run to the Conference League title. I was actually just looking for European football data this week. I'm curious where you got that data set.
Yeah. So there's there's kind of a network of sites called Sports Reference, and so fbref.com is the football reference. It's European based, so it's football. Yeah, so I got a lot of it from there. I get a little bit from Transfer Market sometimes, but like it's harder to export from there. But I actually subscribe to Sports Reference has a service called StatHead, where like if you pay like $17 a month or something, you can use their querying tools and export, CSVs and Excel files to work with data from like a bunch of different sports. It's really well curated. So I super recommend them. Even the free version is great, but yeah, that's where I got it from. Yeah.
How many times have you had confetti celebrations?
This was the first one. I've never had confetti thrown on me before, so this was great. Yeah, super fun.
Hello. You're probably, I don't know if you're gonna ever say this in your presentation, but what is the visualization or the dashboard you're most proud of?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I think I have a couple answers to that. On the one hand, I'm proud of the Iron Viz final build, which we'll be talking about a lot more. Like it's I think project that I'll probably always be the most proud of. Not to be too heavy, but I've actually talked to this group about this project before, but I lost my dad a couple of years ago after kind of a long journey with cancer. And I was inspired by some of the other awesome pioneering work done in the community to kind of deal with illness and grief and things like that. And I actually ended up working with after he passed, I ended up working with his medical records to build kind of a dashboard, kind of summarizing the journey and the appointments and the treatments and the things that happened along the way. And it's a sad project. It was really hard to work through, and it was definitely a super heavy one, but it helped a lot with the grieving process for me, I guess, to approach it that way. And that'll probably always be something that I'm super proud of.
Do you happen to have that where you can show it to us? Because it was one of the most artful visits I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate it. I guess I have a you can't really see it down here. This is a little bit of a screenshot of it. It's on my Tableau public page. I'm going to stay in the slides for now, but
we'll send it out.
Yep.
I have a question, Bo. As a qualifying, is there any tips or recommendations? Like, what is a good? Is it more like your subject matter that you're doing? Like, how do you position?
A lot of it is being able to tell a compelling, interesting story. I think we've seen a lot of qualifier entries over the years that are like visually really innovative or do something cool, but like ultimately there may not be a story that lands with people. And I think within the qualifying competition, compared to a lot of what you might see showcased at the conference or in Viz of the Day or things like that, like I really do think those analysis and storytelling pieces are super, super powerful. I think the other piece, honestly, is I mean, maybe it goes without saying, but like obsessive attention to detail, I think you're going to see in the qualifying entries that get chosen as the finalists. You're going to see, every tooltip, every line, everything is going to work. You're not going to be able to break that dashboard. You're not going to see a single tooltip that does something funny. Like it is, yeah, I think part of the reason that so many hours get put into those projects during that qualifying month is just making sure that like everything, especially too, if it's someone who's not a Tableau user, like they're going to work with it, explore it, and they're going to have a good experience too. So I think that's, building something that's going to work, not just for people who, know these products inside and out, but for just a random person who picks it up, like, can they do something cool with it too?
Cool.
Sorry, I like to talk a lot.
No.
So this is going to be two different questions. I'm just going to combine them. For a dashboard, but just one that you're not as proud of, that you're like, don't ever ask me about this visual again. Don't. And then the second one is for the Iron Viz, has there been another person's visualization that you're like, dang, that's so good.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Two-part question. Okay. So Vizas I'm not proud of. You're not going to find them on my Tableau public page because they've been hidden. But there are plenty. No, there are plenty. And I do think like, I appreciate the question too, because I kind of want to emphasize too, and I think anyone who's done kind of a big competition like this, or won something like this or whatever, will tell you that there are so many missteps along the way, and I've had so many projects that like didn't land, didn't work, weren't well received. So I guess I wouldn't say that there's one in particular that sticks out, but like, yeah, there's a lot of misses along the along the pathway to Iron Viz. And I think too, because I was in the habit for a while of posting my work on Reddit, on the Data is Beautiful subreddit. If you miss, they're gonna let you know. So I have I've gotten some very interesting feedback over the years. But yeah, and then I think in terms of other Iron Viz builds, I think, gosh, I mean, I watched the heck out of the last few years of Iron Viz finals as I was prepping. I think a few really stick out to me. Chris Westlake did an amazing job last year. The way that he told a story that flowed beginning to end and then could kind of restart dynamically was amazing. My project doesn't look like that, but at the same time, like I think I'm heavily influenced by the way that Chris told that story. I think Lisa Trescott's winning entry from a few years ago always sticks out to me as being super cool. That was the year that they were, I think it was Shazam data maybe, for like, the like what song is playing right now app, and she did something super cool and exciting with that. I think it was Iron Viz 2019, maybe, the year that it was, Hesham and Josh and Lindsay, all three of the builds were absolutely incredible that year, and they had co-winners that year too. And like, so I'd say all three of them that year were also like huge influences on me. Cool. And I'll have more time for questions later too. And just raise your hand whenever. I'll keep an eye out. But cool. So I'll go through this part a little faster. But thinking about the discovery process, what do you do with data you don't know? In this case, for me, it was the FAA wildlife strike database, but I'm sure we all get data we don't know all the time at work. And in this presentation, I've kind of tried to torture the sub-themes into all starting with the same letter. So we have E for this one. My themes are explore, evolve, and experiment. So what did that mean for me in this process? I bet a lot of us, when we get Tableau and start dragging and dropping and making scatter plots and bar graphs and what's here in this data set. For me, I like to think visually. Yeah, I did my PhD in educational leadership. I did my bachelor's in history. I don't really think of myself as a computer science guy or even a quant, even though I've been doing it for so long now. But yeah, for me, having the visual way of exploring things is super important. And so as I was starting to mess around with this data, one of the early scatter plots I made was this one. It's not beautiful, but along here, you see like the date of the crashes or the incidents that are in this database. And then the vertical axis here is the total cost, inflation adjusted, of that incident. And so I made this little scatter plot just to see what was here. And right away, there's a massive outlier at the top. So I thought, what the heck is this? Is this real data? What is this that I can look at? And you mouse over it and you find out that this is the famous Flight 1549 in New York. This is the Miracle on the Hudson incident. And so right away, I started exploring this data and I thought, hey, I have my biggest outlier. And this is an event that I remember and a lot of people in the room are going to remember. And maybe I have a story that I can anchor around this. And that event, there was a Tom Hanks movie featured very heavily in the new season of HBO's The Rehearsal. If you haven't watched that, you should. Yeah, it's something that's still part of our cultural memory. And so I thought, hey, I have a story that I can anchor here. Started looking at some of the data by species too, and kind of started seeing, okay, yeah, before and after Flight 1549, things are really different. And I think a couple of us featured this in our presentation, but after the Miracle on the Hudson, if you graph the incidence of aircraft hitting animals, it actually goes up a ton. So I wanted to tell a little bit of a story around why that wasn't nearly as scary as it looked. And so one of the things you find pretty quickly is like, yeah, they're recording a lot more incidents, but they're incidents with small birds, chimney swifts, barn swallows, things that are not actually damaging the aircraft. It's just there's a lot more kind of encouragement to write these things down when they happen. So there's more record keeping, but the animals that you really worry about, the deer, the geese, the hawks, that hasn't really gone up so much. In fact, a lot of those have gone down. And finally, missing data matters. In my original build for Iron Viz, I had a whole view about missing data, and ultimately you only have 20 minutes to build it, so that was one of the last cuts. And Clara, my supervisor, helpfully told me, hey, missing data is probably not what you want to spend like a whole lot of time on when you have 3 minutes to talk about this project. But this is a data set, as with a lot that we deal with. There's a lot of really robust stuff. There's a lot of fields that are pretty complete. And there's a lot of fields in there that are missing like half the time. And so for me, it's not part of the process that you see on stage, but I chose to anchor my build around fields that were 100% there, because I don't think this data is missing at random. So I don't want to tell a story as if it is, and I didn't want to draw the wrong conclusions from what I was presenting. So evolve. What I mean by that is see what's already been said about the data you're working with and what new things you can say. And so in the case of this data set, this is a federal government data set. There are thousands and thousands of pages of reports publicly available about this data set. So going in and telling people, hey, where do these incidents happen? What animals are they happening with? Like those kinds of basic things. Maybe most people haven't read it. I assume y'all haven't read it. But those stories have been told, so many times over and over again over the years. And so even if most people in that Iron Viz room don't know those things, I didn't want to just go tell that same story of what happens when and what's the seasonality and all of that. Wanted to try to do something a little bit different. And also, one of the other first things I thought when I saw this data set was, oh yeah, I remember Kelly Martin's project using this data. Kelly Martin was a former Tableau, I guess it was Zen master at the time, now visionary. Kelly was an Iron Viz finalist as well in one of the first competitions, and she passed away a few years ago from cancer as well. And her work was a huge influence on me, not just this project, but the other cool things she did. And so you'll see in my final build and in my presentation, I don't think you can tell the story of this data set in the Tableau context without acknowledging what Kelly did, because this project is considered by a lot of people to be the most famous Tableau dashboard of all time. She built this in an early version of Tableau where this was not easy to do. And so, she put this work out and it kind of changed the game and got people to think really differently about, how we can do visual storytelling. So I wanted to pay homage to her while not directly copying her work too. So experimenting, can I do something innovative with that data? There's a few things here that I put up on screen. 2 of them made it into the final build, 1 of them didn't. I spent a lot of time on these spike maps that you see here. I built a custom map box theme so that only the US would show and the whole rest of the globe would be the same color, so that if people interacted with it, it would work. I densified the data to make 3 copies of every row so that I could put a spike over every city instead of just a dot or something like that. But at the end of the day, when my build was stuck at 23 minutes and that map took 5 minutes to build, that was the last cut because I just could not get it down anymore. So it got replaced with something simpler. Still kind of worked, but I'm sad that these maps didn't make it. The radial charts at the bottom right here, I wish I had the animation in my presentation, but like one of the first times that I really thought I had something with this final build was when I made these like time series charts, curved them, and then if you toggle the measure that's at the top and the bottom, they kind of like rotate over the central text in a really cool way. And that was my first moment where I was like, okay, this is going in and like you have a chance in this competition. And making a radial time series chart is not necessarily super innovative, I guess. You've seen people do it a lot over the last few years, but for folks who aren't working in data viz, it's kind of a little bit of a unique representation. And finally, at the top right here, marginal histograms with pie charts within them. I have seen a lot of marginal histograms over the years. I've seen a lot of pie charts over the years. I have not seen people combine them. And because I do secretly really, really love pie charts and I want to force them into my dashboards whenever I can, I thought, okay, let's, instead of doing a marginal histogram with a table and a bunch of numbers in the middle, let's leverage pie charts and let's try to show proportion and size and all of that along with it. Whether it works for you or not, your mileage may vary, but it was, I think, at least a little bit of an innovative technique that I hadn't seen before, and yeah, was able to do something a little bit different with it. So design. These are getting tortured into starting with I. Inspiration, iteration, and intention. So for inspiration, I mentioned Kelly's work earlier because none of this happens. None of us are here doing what we're doing in Tableau right now without people like Kelly who came before us. Past Iron Viz winners, I called out, Chris's project and Lisa's project as answers to your question. It's proof I wasn't making that up. They were in the slides the whole time. One of the first things I thought of when we got this data too was like those little pilot wings that they give to kids sometimes when they fly. I thought, hey, I want to build some stuff around that. And so I had put together like this header image that had the text inside there. I sent it to a few people who had no idea what I was working on. And I was like, what does this shape remind you of? And the answers I got ranged from, oh, that's a golden snitch from Harry Potter to, is that the Whataburger logo? And so that told me that maybe the pilot wings were not the way to go, but it was part of the process. And so what you'll see here reflected in my final build is that explicit call out to Kelly and the legacy that she left. And I had one of her favorite quotes, or one of my favorite quotes of hers ended up in the build. I linked out to her project, and then she had kind of this famous splat that she used in these scatter plots here to represent different data points. And so I extracted that and traced it and ended up adapting it into the little progress bar at the bottom of my build. So a little quirky, but hopefully a way to pay that very direct homage to her influence. And finally, iteration. I have this silly little cloud character in the project that serves as kind of a little bit of a mascot, but also helps with navigation. He started as a splat, then it was a storm cloud, then it was sleeping, then it just became this little happy cloud at the end. One of my first ideas for the project was building dashboards around time of day. I'm going to do something about dusk and nighttime and whatever, and tell a story about what's happening, and that's going to be my narrative. Didn't end up sticking with that because of all the missing data, but I did at least have like a whole framework for that project as my first draft. Then I evolved into the Whataburger snitch header design that you see here. It was okay, but there's a lot of colors here. There's a lot going on. It's fine, but it's not an Iron Viz winning layout yet. Then tried some different fonts, tried a light blue background like the sky because it's plains. It was okay, we're getting there, but we were still not quite to the right build. Then this was the next variation. We're almost there to the final. That's where my beloved maps should have gone. But yeah, even the blue background, when you're preparing for something like this, you got to think, how is my stuff going to work in a room full of 7,000 people with giant video screens and everything's black everywhere? And ultimately, I wanted to maximize contrast as much as possible. I wanted my graphs to show, and I wanted that to be the thing that people were zeroing in on. So kept the layout fairly minimal, ended up with a black background here, and this is kind of, where I landed. And I will say too, I spent as much time on the layout as I spent on the graphs, like absolutely obsessed over this and how it was gonna look on the big screen. So intention. What I mean by that is if it's in the build, there's a very good reason that it's there. And so part of this for me was color. Some of my earlier drafts had kind of color variations and shades and gradients. And ultimately, if you look at my final build now, there are 5 colors in that entire project. You will see no more than 5 colors. And every time you see that color, it's going to mean the same thing. I didn't talk about this in the presentation because there wasn't time, but hopefully it's kind of one of those, pre-attentive things that helps people as they're working through it. The salmon and orange colors always refer to different time periods. Red always means serious damage. White is there for text and or like anything that you don't really need to pay attention to. It just kind of recedes into the visualization, and blue is there for layout, and that's it. And all 5 of these colors I used a WebAIM, which is one of my favorite websites to check for contrast and make sure that these met accessibility standards against the backgrounds that I was using. Ran them through color blindness simulators to make sure that the dashboard was still going to make sense for people who might have differences in how they perceive color. And yeah, so, you know, a little thing, 5 colors, but each one like very much obsessed over. And like I said, if it's in the build, there's a reason for it. I have this goofy cloud because I like having goofy characters in projects sometimes, but it's not just there for ornamentation. It's there to show you, hey, there's something you need to look at and interact with here. It's paired with a filter, a parameter, or something that I want you to do. I use the splat as an homage to Kelly Martin's work, but it's part of a progress bar. It tells you, hey, I have more to look at or I'm done with this project. And finally, there's plenty of negative space. You know, it was important to me to have a negative, or to have kind of a minimal layout with a bunch of dark space in the background because, again, ultimately, I wanted the graphs to tell the story and I wanted that to be what people were looking at, not the layout, not the things that were drawn as part of it, but the data, ultimately. So a few minutes on performance. How do you prepare? In the top left here, you see the very glamorous hotel ballroom where we did our week of rehearsals. So Iron Viz happens on Wednesday night of Tableau conference. We are there starting early Sunday morning. So you fly in Saturday, you show up Sunday morning, and you start rehearsing in maybe not this hotel ballroom, but one very much like it. And you're in, rehearsals pretty much all day for most of the conference leading up to Iron Viz. So ultimately, it's a big marketing event for Salesforce and Tableau as well. They want everything to run as smoothly as it can. And also, you know, not to draw too big of stereotypes about the data community, but not everyone that makes it to the finals of Iron Viz is used to being on stage in front of 7,000 people. Not everyone who makes it to the finals loves public speaking. So you go through lots of practice to make sure that you are ready to go. You are backed up by the team around you. The judges are there, the hosts are there. You're all in it together. And yeah, so just a couple ballroom shots here. The shot at the top here, with Catherine and Ryan, the other finalists, they had us do a little interview on like the Salesforce live stream to help hype up the event. So that was part of it as well. And then the photo at the bottom right here, Clara and I, when we got our first chance to go in and do a full like walkthrough and dress rehearsal in the Iron Viz room with everything set up as it was finally set up. So I put a little you know, URL down here. I wrote kind of a longer behind the scenes blog. I wish I had more photos to share, but ultimately, as you're prepping and working, you're not always thinking, oh, I better take a photo of this. But it's just a little sampling of like, yeah, that's what we do. Several days of rehearsals and team building and you know, working with the team to make sure that, you know, it's not just a competition, but we're all working to put on a good show for the folks who are there too. All right, I'm going to go through this really quickly to leave a couple more minutes at the end. But, you know, at the end of the day, when you have 3 minutes to present a complex dashboard, that is really, really not much time. So when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about how do I have an immediate hook, a way to connect with the audience, and really for me, one-ish key takeaway point. Because I think another thing I noticed from past Iron Viz winners, you know, the way you perform that dashboard effectively during the competition live, that's a third of your final score. And so if you go back and you watch people who have won this competition or competitions like this, you watch their 3 minutes and you come out with something that you have learned and you can go tell other people. So for me, that was, I want to tell this one key takeaway message of, hey, like the data superficially might look really concerning, but if you dig in deeper, like damaging incidents are going down, serious things are happening less. We should actually all feel like pretty good about the safety efforts. And just kind of focused basically the whole time on that. I also mentioned here practice, even if you don't like to. Again, I like to improvise my presentations as much as possible. I improvised my dissertation defense at the end of my PhD program, and that went fine. They gave me the degree, so that was kind of my baseline. I'm like, okay, if you can just go in and talk off the cuff about this, you can probably go in and talk off the cuff about lots of stuff. But Iron Viz, no, you have 3 minutes to say everything you want to say. So that was another of the many things that was kind of obsessively rehearsed. I'll say for Spark too, I just say, you know, in any environment like this, try to be a real person. I think people can tell, like there's a line between practiced and over-rehearsed. And I think for Iron Viz, you're definitely aiming for, or really a lot of presentations, you're aiming for practiced and not over rehearsed. And finally, just helping people see themselves in the data, helping people feel something. And for me also just respecting the people who came before us. You know, I had, as probably most of us do, but I had an unconventional career path to get here. You know, I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be doing any of this without people who had inspired me, taken a chance on me when there wasn't maybe, you know, the track record that I might have, you know, now. And I couldn't go through my presentation without dedicating a little time to Kelly and her influence as well, because to me that hangs over, especially all of our work when we're working with a data set like this. But yeah. So last little slide here, and then I'm happy to chat about whatever else is helpful. You know, building a dashboard live in 20 minutes, it's cool, but ultimately it's kind of a party trick. You're probably never really going to have to do that in your career. But at the same time, there are, I think, some lessons that can help us as we're building. And so, you know, the first one for me, duplicate assets when you can. If you go back and watch previous Iron Viz builds, you're going to see a lot of people getting the one chart really, really good, and then copying it 5 times and swapping out one variable, but then you don't have to redo all the formatting. And this is the same when we're building dashboards at work, right? Like I don't always do this, but I always regret when I like make the 6 graphs and then I format one and I'm like, oh great, I have to do this all again now. And so for Iron Viz, you can't do that. I always think it's a good idea to refine a little bit and then expand. Moving calcs upstream. This is a part of the Iron Viz process that may not be super obvious to people, but we are allowed to run a Tableau prep flow as part of our kind of building process. So I think we all, or at least two of the 3 of us, but you'll see a lot of finalists, you know, start to leverage that pretty heavily, so that, you know, when you're doing your final build, the only columns that are still there in your data set are the ones that are going to be used in the build. So you don't get confused by clicking on the wrong thing. You know, you can do pre-aggregations, you can calculate things in advance to kind of devote more time to the visuals and less time to the stuff that honestly nobody wants to watch you type a bunch of calculations. Custom themes are pretty cool. I'll say that I wish that they did more, but with the 2025 release of custom themes in Tableau, it's cool to at least be able to leverage that, have your little you know, JSON file that you can bring in and say, hey, I want everything in the dashboard to do this. It's a big time saver. Same with custom palettes and shapes. You know, for a lot of folks, I know custom color palettes and custom shapes, using those, you know, folders within my Tableau repository. Maybe you've done it a million times, but I don't know, I was just showing people how to do it at work yesterday. So I know for some folks that's a fresh tip and it's super, super helpful. And my last takeaway point here is to consider, but don't overdo complementary tools. A lot of my design support and prep for this project was in Figma, but, you know, at the end of the day, one of the things that I plan to consider as a judge, and one of the things I know was considered this year, is, you know, that balance of how much of the project is built in Tableau and how much of the project was built as images somewhere else and then dragged into Tableau, you know, as part of the competition time. You know, ultimately Iron Viz is a Tableau competition. They want to know what you can do within the Tableau ecosystem. And so the fact that you can build something absolutely amazing in Figma and then drag it in and float some graphs on top of it, really cool, produces really cool products in our work settings. That may be a fantastic way to work. But ultimately for Iron Viz, even if it sometimes results in maybe a shinier product at the end, it's not really what the competition is about. And so if you are considering entering, yeah, complementary tools are great, but like ultimately it's about Tableau and what you can do there. So after all that, end result, got the trophy. It all worked out. Very exciting ending, very surreal moment. Still doesn't really feel real. But yeah, I'm happy to take any other questions or, you know, kind of chat about whatever else, but I'll just leave you with a couple thoughts. Check out the other Iron Viz final builds. Ryan and Catherine are absolutely incredible. It was great to spend time with them. Their projects were amazing. Like, I think when you enter a competition like this, you want to win against the best. And I know that I got to win against the best. Those two are wonderful. As Jane talked about, get inspired on Tableau Public. Lots of cool stuff out there. If you're not playing around in that ecosystem, go make something awesome. You know, be careful, don't publish your work data up there, but like it's great, it's free. Yeah. And yeah, stay in touch. I'm here in Austin. I'm easy to find. I'm on socials all over the place. After Iron Viz, I launched a website, boknowsdata.com. The Bo Jackson references seem to land with a very, very specific age range. But but I'm in that age range, so it was fun for me. So yeah, that's what I got. Those are my reflections. Yeah, happy to take questions or touch on anything else.
Any questions for Bo? Oh,
I had a question about using complementary tools. So I've heard this from someone else, but when you're preparing for the qualifying entries, do you think that using primarily Tableau for analysis is better than, for example, like doing a bunch of analysis with Python, like clustering or doing something like that, and then pulling it into Tableau and using that?
That's a really great question. So if you didn't hear, the question was like, what do you think about doing analysis in Tableau versus using Python or other tools or things like that? I think the way I think about it is, if Tableau can do it, I'm going to do it in Tableau for a competition like this. If you're doing like clustering analysis, obviously, I know they might say Tableau can do that with kind of some of the built-in stuff, but yeah, I'd probably think about doing that in Python. And like, for my Iron Viz qualifier entry, like I wrote a Python script to connect to the Spotify API and pull down and shape a bunch of data. And like that didn't seem to, harm me in the process, because that's clearly something that Tableau doesn't do. So yeah, that's my line. If Tableau can do it in Tableau. If it can't, it's totally cool to use other stuff.
Okay. Even though you said like from your education, like your you studying was a complete pivot into this, what came over, what bled over, what skills or like mindset that came from those 12 years?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. So even though I didn't study what I'm doing now, what lessons came forward from that? I think studying history as an undergrad, I think I learned about writing and storytelling. I mean, ultimately, you're doing so much writing, doing something like that. You're consuming information, learning to think critically. So like, I think I bring that forward from my undergrad. I did my master's in public policy, and so I think for me, that time was really spent learning to kind of make a case quickly using credible information too. And so, if you're dealing with an Iron Viz crowd or a politician who has 2 minutes for you, how do you distill a really rich data set into a quick story that's going to make them walk away thinking and feeling something? So I take that from that, and probably pretty much the same for my PhD as well. And kind of the years spent building dashboards and tools for, teachers and school administrators and school board members. A lot of that is, for folks who are not writing code, who are not statisticians. Yeah, how do I take this data and ultimately give them something that they can connect with? So I think that's a lot of what I've taken from it.
Okay. What's the one takeaway from this?
The one takeaway from this.
I mean, that's sad.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I guess the one takeaway, I guess this is gonna sound like a cliche, but like, if you want to do something, go for it. There are pathways. There are a lot of pathways to this. I saw Iron Viz in person in like 2017 for the first time, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. I bet that will never be me. And then it was me, 8 years later, because I kind of took the steps to learn and develop and keep trying. And, I don't know, today's my dad's birthday, so I'm thinking about him extra today. And something he always used to say to me is like, the answer is always no unless you ask. And I think I try to bring that mindset to my work. You're never going to do something like this if you don't try. So try it.
Have you had a Bo Jackson moment where you had something in the data and you did something amazing with it, like climbing up the wall?
Have I had a Bo Jackson moment with data? I'd like to think there's Bo Jackson moments in all of our Iron Viz builds. That's my, but no, yeah. I mean, I think I hope so. And I think too, like, I don't know where y'all work, obviously, but if you do have the opportunity to be in a place where, maybe you feel like you don't have a lot of support or peers at the same time, I think those are the spaces where people do see the work as magic. And I think that was also a cool part of working in education for years, is like making one cool visual that made someone see something differently. There's not a lot of people doing that in that space. And so I don't know. I don't know if that directly answers the question, but it's kind of, yeah.
Any other questions for Bo? All right. Well, thank you, Bo. Let's give Bo a round of applause. All right. Thank you, Bo, for joining. I think, it's just appreciate you sharing your experience. It's fascinating to see how much work goes behind the scenes, even when it's only 20 minutes. And I think what's even more incredible is just your background in history and how you sort of pay homage to all those in the Tableau community before you, which is really cool. So, well, with that, guys, this sort of wraps up our tug event. We do have a raffle. 1 second. What are we raffling? Oh, we got the two things up there. That is the fanny packs. I don't know what you. Yeah. All right. Do you want to pick? Yeah. Let's go. All right. Our first winner is James Parsons. This might be rigged. I'm not sure if advisory board members are allowed to join. All right. All right. There you go. And the next one. Yeah. All right. And our next one is Judy Brown. Judy. Where's Judy? Yeah. Oh, there you are. Here, can you take that to Judy, please? All right. Is that it as far as the raffle? All right. All right. Thank you, guys. And we also have free swag in the back. So if you like some of that too. So, I want to say thank you to all of you coming out. This has been a great showing. We will be doing these once a quarter. Please stay. We have the room for a little while longer. So we have refreshments in the back. Thank you again for coming. And let's look at Jane and Bo, another a round of applause. Thank you, guys. Thanks.